Welcome to Lecture 2 of Module 1. In continuation to the previous discussion, in this session, we will focus on the other two key enabling technologies of LTE, such as multi-antenna techniques and IP-based flat network architecture. Further, we will also discuss in brief about LTE network architecture. Multi-antenna techniques. LTE standard provides extensive support for implementing advanced multi-antenna solution to improve link robustness, system capacity, and also spectral efficiency. Some of the important multi-antenna techniques that are supported in LTE are transmit diversity, beamforming, spatial multiplexing, and multi-user MIMO. Transmit diversity is a technique to combat multipath fading in a wireless channel. LTE transmit diversity is based on space frequency block coding technique that is complemented with frequency shift time diversity. Time diversity is primarily intended for common downlink channels. It is also applied for user transmission, especially for low data rate application such as VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol. Transmit diversity increases the system capacity and also enhances the cell coverage area. When it comes to the beamforming technique, which can provide significant improvements in the coverage area of the cell, system capacity, reliability, and also provides better battery life. It is also useful in providing angular information for user tracking. Beamforming works best if the antennas are close together with a separation comparable with the wavelength of radio waves. LTE supports beamforming in the downlink perspective. The other multi-antenna technique is spatial multiplexing. If the transmitter and receiver both have multiple antennas, then we can set up multiple parallel data streams between them so that data rate can be further increased. Here, multiple independent streams can be transmitted in parallel over multiple antennas. For a basic spatial multiplexing system in which transmitter and receiver have two antennas, the transmission end where we have antenna mapper takes symbols from the modulator two at a time and sends one symbol to each antenna. The antenna transmit the two symbols simultaneously so as to double the data rate. That's what transmission data rate. Spatial multiplexing provides data rate and capacity gains that is proportional to the number of antennas that are employed. Spatial multiplexing works well with good signal to noise ratio under light load conditions. LTE supports spatial multiplexing with up to 4 transmit antennas and 4 receive antennas. The other multi-antenna technique is multi-user MIMO. Multiple input and multiple output are being deployed in this technique, which allows multiple users in the uplink are employed. Signals from the different multiple user are separated at the base station receivers. That's about multi-antenna techniques which are supported in LTE. The other key enabling technology is IP-based flat network architecture. So here, when we say flat, which implies less number of nodes, less hierarchical structure for the network that is implemented. Because of this, we have less cost of implementation as well as latency requirements are also reduced. These factors made us to draw us to think about the flat architecture. Flat architecture also provides fewer interfaces and protocol related processing, which reduces the interoperability factors, which in turn it lowers the development as well as deployment cost also. Less number of nodes also provides better optimization for radio interfaces. The figure shows how 3GPP network architecture is evolved after few releases. You can see the release 6, 7 and the enhanced version of 7 and release 8. Previously, we had only 4 network elements in the data path. This is what base station, or you can say it is what E node or nothing but your node B, RNC, radio network controller, serving GPRS service node, and gateway GPRS serving node, service node. In release 7, they have been introduced with direct tunneling option from RNC to gateway GPRS service node, that is eliminating your SGSN. You can see in the picture of release 7 where we have direct tunneling option. LTE has only 2 elements in the data path, that is enhanced node B and system architecture evolution with respect to the gateway perspective, SAE gateway. Control path includes entity called mobility management entity that provides control plane functions related to the subscriber, mobility, and the session management. Mobility management entity and system architecture evolution gateway, which is combined together to form a single entity called access gateway. The key aspects of LTE flat architecture is that it supports all the services including voice using IP protocols. That's about the key enabling technologies or features with respect to LTE. Next, we'll discuss about LTE network architecture. So, LTE includes evolution of radio access through enhanced UTRAN, Universal Terrestrial Radio Access Network. Also, the non-radio aspects under SAE, serving system architecture evolution. The entire system is composed of both LTE and SAE. When I say LTE network system architecture, it is composed of both LTE as well as SAE, which is called as what? EPS, Evolved Packet Service. At high level, the network is comprised of core network, which is called as what? EPC, Evolved Packet Core, in SAE, System Architecture Evolution, as well as network is also comprised of access network, enhanced UTRAN. A barrier service is an IP packet with a defined quality of service between the gateway and user entity. Core network is responsible for overall control of user entity and establishment of barrier services. When it comes to the evolved packet core architecture, the main logical nodes in EPC are packet data gateway, that's what PGW, SGW, servicing gateway, and mobility management entity. EPC, Evolved Packet Core, also includes functions such as home subscriber service and PCRF, policy and charging rule functions. Enhanced UTRAN contains evolved base stations called E node B, or you can say enhanced node B, nothing but enhanced base station. When it comes to the LTE network architecture, here we have 4 new elements with respect to evolved packet core. That's what? Serving gateway, packet gateway, mobility management entity, and PCRF. That's what? Policy and charging rule functions. Serving gateway, it acts as a demarcation point between RAN network, radio access network, and the core network. It also manages the user plane mobility. Serving gateway does downlink packet buffering and also all the initiation of network triggering aspects. The other functions of serving gateway are packet routing and forwarding, packet marking in the uplink as well as downlink perspective, and also it helps in inter-operator charging. It acts as a termination point of when it comes to packet gateway with respect to packet data network gateway. It acts as a termination point of evolved packet core towards your PDNs. Packet data network gateway, it provides a function such as user IP address allocation, policy enforcement, packet filtering, and charging support. When I say policy enforcement, which includes operator defined rules for resource allocation to control the data rate and the quality of service that is provided. when it comes to MME, Mobility Management Entity, which performs signaling and controlling functions to manage network connections as well as network resources. Mobility management functions also enables some other functions such as ideal mode tracking, paging, roaming, as well as handover operations, especially when there is a larger area to be covered with respect to the mobility of the user entity. Okay, so handovers need to be managed. Mobility management entity controls all control plane functions related to subscriber as well as the session management. It also provides security functions. Mobility management is also responsible for selecting appropriate packet data network gateway. Mobility management entity, it manages nearly thousands of enhanced node B elements. So what with respect to base station, enhanced node B is nothing but your base stations, enhanced base stations. The other element with respect to EPC is PCRF, policy and charging rule functions, is a concatenation or combination of policy decision function as well as charging rule functions. PCRF interfaces with PDN gateway and supports service data flow detection. Policy enforcement also is done with respect to PCRF. PCRF was actually defined in release 7 of TCP/IP, that is much ahead of your LTE implementation. So that's about the module 1 with respect to key aspects as well as LTE architecture. Thank you.